Welcome to TNT Sports Talk. Today is Tuesday, June 26th. We are live from our basement in Northeast Ohio. As always, I'm your host, Travis Karcheski, joined by my co-host, Truman Karcheski.
How's it going, guys?
And we are, as always, presented by D's Home Cuts. Well, this is going to be one of our biggest shows ever because at the end we have an interview from our first professional athlete, Tim Boyle. He's a rookie quarterback with the Green Bay Packers. It's a really great interview. It was an honor for us to do it. We've been trying to keep this under wraps for the last week. We posted it yesterday on Twitter, one of our highest rated tweets in terms of favorites and retweets. So we're really excited to bring that to you. It was a really good interview. Tim was a really cool guy, and it was great talking to him. And like I said, I know for me and Truman, it was an honor and a dream to talk to a Green Bay Packer and a quarterback. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. Any Packer is a Packer, so I would love to talk to any one of them. He's a quarterback. We've kind of been following him throughout OTAs. He's had an impressive, mini camp and start to the season here. People just the buzz around Green Bay is that this kid can throw the ball around. So it's exciting to talk to him. He was a really, really great guy, and I know we're pulling for him as he goes into training camp and enters this battle with the other quarterbacks. But it was great to talk to just a Green Bay Packer overall. And it is cool just the fact that he knows and has said something to Aaron Rodgers at least. Makes it even cooler. But it was an honor to talk to him. He was a great guy, and I hope to have him on again.
Yeah, so that's, like I said, that's at the end of the show. But we're going to get into basketball. We're going to start with the draft. The draft was on Thursday. I know it's kind of been, feels like that was a long time ago, but we haven't gotten a chance to get into it. So we'll get into some of the storylines here, some of the recap. Obviously, Ayton went number 1. Was no surprise to anyone. Sexton at number 8 to the Cavs was interesting. I picked it. Not going to lie. That was pretty amazing that I picked that. That's going to be interesting to see. I think Sexton is a good pick for the Cavs. He's a guy who really wants that pressure on his shoulders. He took that number 2. He took Kyrie's number. He wants to be the guy who, if LeBron leaves, he wants to carry the torch. And if LeBron stays, he wants to really pair up with LeBron and help the Cavs, get back to what they were. I really liked Sexton at number 8. I know Cavs fans wish they took other guys, but Sexton at number 8 was a solid pick for them.
I mean, if LeBron's leaving, the pick should have been Michael Porter Jr. The kid, the fact that he fell to 15, I believe, 14 to the Nuggets, was absolutely insane. I don't understand it. He's got 7-foot wingspan. That injury, yeah, it's a scary injury, but the fact that you let all that development kind of just pass and go down to the Nuggets, that was a steal of draft for Denver. And if I'm Cleveland and I know LeBron's leaving, which I think the Cavs know if he's staying or if he's leaving at this point. I don't think he left them in the dust before the draft. But it could be one of those things, they picked Kyrie when they were rebuilding, so they might be just going from the point guard in and just completely resetting their team. So I can see that being, kind of why they picked him. But I would have picked Michael Porter Jr. I think that was a steal of the draft for Denver. But I do like Sexton at 8 for the Cavs. And I think it just kind of goes to show that they might be setting to, kind of rebuild here.
Yeah, I think Michael Porter at 14 was probably the steal of the draft. Top 3 talent if he would have played this year at Missouri. We'll see what happens. I think he says he's healthy, but rumors are he's going to have to sit out for a little while. So maybe it's a Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, Embiid situation where he just sits for a year, comes back, and just dominates. But we'll see. Another steal I thought was 28. The Celtics, they took Robert Williams at 28. He was a guy we predicted to be a lottery pick, top 15. He's somebody I was really high on in the tournament. I had him going at 15 to the Wizards. The Celtics got a really good player to replace Al Horford when Al Horford decides to hang it up. Robert Williams, a very young guy, very big, very good center from Texas A&M. That was a huge steal for them. And then at pick 48, second round, the Timberwolves got Keita Bates-Diop, who from Ohio State was the most dominant player in the Big Ten this year. That's another big steal. He's going to pair really well alongside Towns, a really long, athletic wing player who can shoot, grab rebounds, shoot the three. I just don't know why he slipped into the second round when he's everything NBA teams want. A big guy who can shoot. So I think that's going to really help out the Timberwolves, who didn't have a first-round pick, and that's huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk up the Bucks. I love the pick of DiVincenzo.
Bench player.
I talked about it in our show that he was going to be one of my favorite picks in the draft, no matter where he went, and the Bucks got him. It wasn't really a need. It was a need. We needed shooters, but we needed a big man more. But I think that was their guy from the start. And DiVincenzo, they picked him. He has absolute ice in his veins. He went in the national championship game and just showed out. So I'm really excited about that. He's an absolute champion, which is what we need. But other than that, if you look at the top 5, I really like what the Mavericks did. I think Doncic's a good player for them. If they just give him some time to develop into an NBA player, the talent that he played in the EuroLeague, wherever he played, is not even close to the NBA. So he's going to take some time to develop. But I think once he does, I think he's going to be a very good player. I also like the Hawks. It shows that Schroeder's going to be gone. But the pick of Trae Young, the development there, the ceiling there is very high, and they can get a star player in Trae Young. I think they're, getting rid of, the past players that they had like Schroeder. So that's another player to watch, though, in the upcoming here. He's a good point guard. Other than that, I also like the Grizzlies and Jaren Jackson. I think the Grizzlies needed a player that's going to go in there and really just start from day one and kind of be a star. And I think besides Ayton, out of the rest of the picks in that top 5, top 10, Jaren Jackson has the biggest chance to do that. So I think the Grizzlies made a really good selection there with him.
Yeah, so it was a good night. Not a lot of buzz. A couple trades, Mikal Bridges, stuff like that. Not a lot of huge moves. Earth-shattering moves that I thought was going to happen. I thought the Cavs would trade the 8th pick, but I think my prediction stays true. The Cavs took a player at number 8, so I don't think LeBron's going to stay. I think he's going to leave, but we'll see what happens. The NBA awards were last night. We're going to get into that a little bit later in our question and answer. So right now we're going to move to football. We're going to start with the Chiefs. AFC West, we're sticking in there. We're going to do the Chiefs today. So Chiefs last year went 10-6, but they did lose a lot of talent over the offseason. They lost Alex Smith, Marcus Peters, Albert Wilson, Tom Bahali, Derek Johnson, 2 of their defensive anchors there for a long time. But they added Sammy Watkins and Kendall Fuller, 2 pretty good players. They didn't have much in terms of draft, because they traded for the Pat Mahomes pick a year ago. But this team has talent. Tyreek Hill, one of the best receivers in the NFL, one of the most explosive receivers in the NFL. Yeah. Kareem Hunt, best young running back in the NFL. The rushing leader from last year. Travis Kelce, right there with Gronk, is the best tight end. Mitchell Schwartz is a solid right tackle, and then Eric Berry, when healthy, is one of the best safeties, if not the best one of the best defensive players in the NFL. But this year, it's going to rely on Pat Mahomes. If Pat Mahomes doesn't step up, doesn't become, what people think he should or will become, this team's going to start to fall. They added some talent around him. They got Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill. That's a pretty good, stash of weapons for Pat Mahomes. If he doesn't take the step up this year, there's really no excuses. The Chiefs are going to be a franchise that might start to fall here over the next coming years.
Yeah, Andy Reid, in terms of on-the-field coaching, is a top 3 coach in the game. His creativeness when it comes to that offense and just the way he makes players better is, unbelievable. And I think he solely can get this team to at least 500 with a young quarterback. I do think the Chiefs, in the first year of the Pat Mahomes era, takes a step back. I just think that's how it's going to go. Players in their first year, they don't always see success. I know Aaron Rodgers, off the top of my head, went 6-10 in his first year starting. So it's going to take some time for him to get used to being a starting quarterback and a franchise-changing player. So I don't think it's going to be easy day one, touchdown after touchdown. He's going to have to take a year to develop. He's not there yet. I think eventually he's going to be a very good quarterback, but I think this year you're going to see some growing pains, and I think you're going to see the Chiefs take a step back. As far as offensively, they have talent all over the place. I don't know about Tyreek Hill being one of the best receivers in the game, but he's a very good player.
He's top 10. Explosiveness, yes. He's one of the most dangerous players.
Yes, he's one of the most dangerous players in the game, but I just can't see him being up there with, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams.
Right up there.
You see him up there with Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown.
Yep.
Okay, well then
he's not better than those guys, but he's right up there.
No. So he's one of the most explosive players in the game. And the thing about him is just, I talked about Andy Reid. Andy Reid knows how to use him. He knows how to use his speed. He knows how to use, he may not be a sizable guy who can match up with the physicality of some of these corners, but if you get him in the slot and let him move around, he's so much faster, so much more explosive than these corners. And that's the thing that he uses. As far as Travis Kelce goes, I'm very high on Travis Kelce. And when Gronk isn't healthy, which is usually the case, Travis Kelce's the best tight end in the game. As far as Kareem Hunt, I think he did have a little bit of a show out 6 games to start the season where he was unbelievable. He took a little bit of a step back, but I think he's still a very good running back. I think teams are going to kind of focus on him this season and let Pat Mahomes try to wing the ball around. So that can be, he might take another step back, but he's still a very explosive running back for the Chiefs. So I think they have talent all over that offense with the speed of Pat Mahomes, which I think can solely get them some wins. As far as defensively, they lost some talent, but I think their defense is always consistent. I can't remember the name of the defensive coordinator over there, but he's been around for a very, very long time, and he's a smart guy. So I think the Chiefs, they take a step back this year. My prediction is going to be 8-8, but I think eventually you're going to start to see the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes take steps forward, but this year it's kind of going to be a growing pain year.
I think with a solid Pat Mahomes, I think this is the first time in a while, I think the offense of the Chiefs is going to be better than that defense. That defense has kind of been that anchor there for a long time, but, you saw they lost a lot of key pieces, either to, just cutting them because they were too old, like Tom Ali, or, trading Marcus Peters. But they added Kendall Fuller. He's a really good corner. But I think this year is going to be a year where the offense becomes better than that defense. Losing Nagy, the offensive coordinator, is going to hurt, I think. Andy Reid is a very good coach, but I think he was one of the big, kind of builders of that offense. He really knew how to use Tyreek Hill. And Andy Reid's a good offensive mind, but Nagy is also up there, and that's going to hurt. But if Pat Mahomes plays well, I think they do take a little bit of a step back. They go 9-7. I think adding Sammy Watkins helps a lot. He can find some consistency. He's also a very good wide receiver. So we'll see what happens. If Sammy Watkins is half of what everyone thinks he can be or what he has been, this is one of the best 1-2 punches in the league. And Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce right up the middle. So we'll see what happens. This is a good team. So 9-7, I think that's a pretty Chiefs record, pretty average Andy Reid record. I don't think Andy Reid's a good playoff coach, so I don't think they'll win any Super Bowls with him anytime soon. But 9-7, that's about it for them, and that's it for the Chiefs. So we're gonna move now to another NFL story. Julian Edelman, he's dealing with that 4-game PED suspension. He is appealing it right now. He's kind of doing that Ryan Braun defense where the sample was mishandled. He's claiming that his urine sample was mishandled by the NFL testers. I don't know what's going to come out of this. It didn't work for Ryan Braun. He got caught again, but we'll see what happens. Julian Edelman, if he's out, just like I said, another crack in that Patriots system.
Yeah, I feel like it's just almost an appeal. It's just like people are just kind of talking like it's bigger than just an appeal, but he's just kind of like trying to figure out because a lot of players, when they do this, they don't know what they took that's illegal because they don't really know what's on the ban list. They're not educated on it. I don't think Edelman did anything on purpose, like to try and hide something, but he might have taken a supplement here or there that the NFL doesn't allow. He didn't know it, so maybe he's just trying to figure out what that was, and kind of appeal that and see if it actually was a big issue. So I don't really know what's going to come of this. Appeals are 50-50 usually. He might get it shortened, or it might just stay there at 4. But I think this is, it's an interesting story to watch because it is a big piece of the Patriots offense for 4 games. But it is the Patriots, and they should be able to fill that need somewhere.
Speaking with suspensions, we're going to stay with that. Jameis Winston got suspended on Thursday. Right after the show was put out, he suspended 3 games for allegedly groping a female Uber driver a couple years ago. And this is Jameis Winston. You knew when he was coming out into the draft, you knew he has some character flaws. He had a lot of trouble at Florida State, whether it was stealing crab legs from a grocery store or he's accused of rape. But this is just Jameis Winston. I don't think he's mature enough yet to be the player that the Buccaneers need him to be. He has all the talent in the world, and I like him as a player, but off the field he just has a lot of off the field problems, and that's not good for the Buccaneers if they want to win with him. And this is just a big blow to the Buccaneers, who took a step back last year when everyone thought he was going to take a step up, and this really hurts him. And now you got Ryan Fitzpatrick for the first 3 games, who decent quarterback, but he's not the type of talent that Jameis Winston is.
Now you want to see what he can do, because like you said, last year is a step back, and people are really trying to figure out if Jameis Winston's really going to be the franchise quarterback of the Buccaneers. I never really liked Jameis Winston, and wasn't a fan of him out of college. When it was between him and Mariota, I was a big Mariota guy, and I wanted Mariota over Winston. But this is the Buccaneers guy. They invested a first overall pick on him, so he better step up and mature a little bit. I know this is from a few years ago, and it seems like he has gotten a little bit better as far as maturity goes. But other than that, you just want to see him get, better and take a step forward as a franchise quarterback, and he hasn't done it. But we'll see. As far as the Buccaneers go, Fitzpatrick is a good quarterback, one of my favorite quarterbacks for some reason. But
Harvard.
Harvard guy. He's been around the league for a while. If you want someone there, you'd like Fitzpatrick, and we'll see what he does when Winston comes back. But I think this year is a huge year for Winston, and this does not help his case.
It's a huge year for the Buccaneers, too, because this is a team that has a lot of talent. They were supposed to step up last year. They were on Hard Knocks. They took a step back. And, it was Jameis Winston. He wasn't what people wanted him or thought he could be last year. Cutter, I think he's on the hot seat this year if they don't perform. And this is just a big blow to that Tampa Bay team, who has a lot of talent. And
now you remember Cutter here, now their head coach was their offensive coordinator when they had Lovie Smith. Cutter was taking interviews around the league to be a head coach somewhere, and they fired Lovie Smith after like a very decent, good season with a rookie quarterback. They fired Lovie Smith, and just to make Cutter the head coach so they could keep Winston in the same system. Now, will that come back to fire them? Maybe, because Cutter is definitely on the hot seat. He's got one more year, I think, if they don't improve. So that'll be interesting, because they let go of a very good head coach after a good season for an offensive coordinator just to keep Winston in the same system, and right now it's not working out.
Yes, we'll see what happens there. But we're going to move now to baseball. But before that, wanted to remind you that our show is brought to you by D's Home Cuts. Since D's is the best place around Northeast Ohio for a great haircut at a low price for only $7, D's Home Cuts will provide you with a modern haircut and styling. Truman and I have been getting our haircuts there for the last couple months, and we have never looked or felt better. I actually got a cut yesterday. It was a great time. You sit in the chair, you play Fortnite, whatever. You got the PS4 set up. It's really a great time, and it's only $7. You get a really good haircut. The cuts get better every single time you go into D's because he is always upgrading his equipment so he can give you the best haircut possible. You can find D's Home Cuts on Twitter or Instagram. The link in the bio, you can set up an appointment easily. No hassle. Just pick a date, pick a time, put your information down, and you're ready to roll. D's Home Cuts, professional haircuts at a low price. So baseball, we're getting into that All-Star break that's coming soon, but not a lot of storylines. So we were going to give, at this point, our top 5 power rankings up to this point. We'll start at number 5. This number 5 spot, I went back and forth between the Indians and the Brewers. I decided to give the Brewers the edge. I'll put them at number 5. Now, they did lose. They lost 2 straight. And if the Indians would have won last night, I would have put the Indians there because that would have been 8 straight wins. But they did lose to the Cardinals last night 4-0, so I put the Brewers there. Brewers have been a bit of an overachieving team this year. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I think they're surpassing expectations this year, being in the top 5 of MLB teams. But we'll see what happens. Brewers, Truman can admit this, have been a team that always starts hot and falls off, right when it matters the most. So will this team step up? I don't know. We'll have to watch out. But they have lost 2 straight. I think they play the Royals tonight.
They do.
So that'll be a good series for them to get back on track. And going hot into that All-Star break. So I'm going to go Brewers at number 5.
I have the Braves at number 5. They're 44-32. This is a team, if you really want to talk about overachieving, it's the Braves. Everyone expected this was going to be a rebuild year for the Braves. And that young talent, those young pieces are coming together a little bit earlier than expected. They're one of the best teams in the NL. It looks like they could be making a playoffs, which in my mind is crazy because no one expected that. But I'm going to put the Braves at number 5 for now.
Number 4, I'll put the Diamondbacks. This is a team that kind of started average playoff team last year. They started 26-26. But over the last couple weeks, they've really stepped up. Robbie Ray, who's been that kind of dominant pitcher in that rotation with Zach Greinke, he was hurt. But this rotation has stepped up. Clay Buchholz, veteran, kind of just a guy who would go out there and throw you 4 to 5 decent innings. But he has really stepped up. And this is really going to help them because they're going to get Robbie Ray back here soon. He's pitching in AAA right now. He'll be back probably over the weekend. Paul Goldschmidt, who started average, is now going insane out of his mind hitting-wise. So I think the Diamondbacks deserve this number 4 spot because I would not want to face them right now.
For me, number 4 is the Milwaukee Brewers. They're 45-32, best record in the NL. Listen, this team is making me so happy. They have, faltered over the past 2 weeks in saying that they've kind of been 500 ball. They've been winning some and they've been losing some, and they haven't been as consistent the past few weeks. But this week we play the Royals and the Reds. These are 2 teams that haven't been playing good at all. Even though the Reds just swept the Cubs over the weekend. But this is a week where we should be able to get back on track consistent wise and win some of these games, which is even better. And that kind of made me put them even higher on my list because I think eventually they're going to be higher. But listen, yeah, they've been a team that has been known to falter off as the year goes on. But this year I feel like we got the pieces finally. Yelich is a franchise-changing player. He's our franchise. He's an amazing player. We've been wanting someone like this for a while now, since Braun was. But now, and then you put Kane, who has been playing absolutely out of his mind. He's another franchise player. He's a little bit older. He's got experience. He's a World Series caliber player. But the team has got more experience now, and I think Kane is kind of being that leader in the locker room. Like I said, he's won a World Series with the Royals. So this year I feel is just something different. So I'm gonna put the Brewers at 4 for now.
Okay, number 3, Brewers don't have the best record in the MLB actually.
The NL.
And they're tied.
They're
with the Braves.
No, the Braves are
45-32.
Oh, they won last night. All
right, fact check his ass. Then we're gonna go with number 3, Yankees. I think the Yankees are ahead in that in their division right now, just barely over the Red Sox. But I think the Yankees are at number 3. I think the Red Sox have more talent. They just haven't really put together. Yankees number 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Yankees at 3 too.
Red Sox I have number 2. Again, too much talent, but they just can't surpass my number 1. So Red Sox number 2.
Red Sox 2.
Houston at number 1. Yeah, Houston's just been an absolute wagon this year. They're one of the best teams in the league. I think they'll easily cruise into the playoffs. Then we're going to go now to a segment I started last week, called What Would Have Happened. This is where we go back, sports moments. What would have happened if it happened differently, if that makes sense. Last week we did what would happen if there was no rain delay in 2016. Today we're going to do, Cavs fans, what would have happened if LeBron didn't leave in 2010. So like I said, the year was 2010, July 8th. Me and Truman gathered at the BW3s in our hometown to watch the decision on ESPN. One of the most wild things that have ever happened, I think, in all sports, for a guy to go on national television and announce where he was going to play basketball next year. Usually, that type of thing, just kind of comes across the ticker on the bottom of ESPN or something like that. To nationally televise that on television was insane. And it really changed the way people viewed LeBron. He kind of became more than just a regular NBA player, I think, at that point. But he announced that he was going to the Miami Heat. Cleveland exploded. Everybody hated him instantly. Jerseys were being burned in the streets. Rocks were being thrown at his sign up on the building outside of the arena. It was a wild night. And it really hurt Cavs fans for a long time. So now, what would have happened if he would have stayed? I think if he would have stayed, the Cavs wouldn't have won a championship in 2016. I don't think, because they wouldn't have had Kyrie. They would have kind of been a team who maybe they would have squeaked into a championship and then gotten beat by the Spurs or something like that. I don't think he would have won. I don't think he would have gotten that kind of experience. I think going to Miami, it kind of taught him that you need a lot of all-stars and a lot of talent around you to really make a serious run at the championship. So I don't think he would have won in 2016. So at the end of the day, I think it was kind of a good thing for LeBron to leave if I was a Cavs fan.
I think they would have won. Maybe not in 2016, but I think they would have won a little bit earlier. I think eventually LeBron would have commanded a guy to come to Cleveland, another superstar. Maybe he told Dan Gilbert, "Hey, I'll stay." In 2010, he told Dan Gilbert, "I'll stay if you get someone for me," and they eventually do that. But then you look at the East. If LeBron stayed in Cleveland, Miami wouldn't have been a powerhouse for 4 years.
You'd had some good battles with Miami, the Pacers, and Cavs.
Yeah, and I think the Cavs, they would have eventually gotten over the hump and won one. But I think at this point, an interesting one for me, Kevin Durant wouldn't have left the Thunder if LeBron didn't leave the Cavs. I think Kevin Durant saw what LeBron did leaving the Cavs for the Heat and kind of felt like he could do the same thing for leaving the Thunder for the Warriors.
You saw Kevin Durant kind of used LeBron as kind of an excuse to kind of,
Yeah, and I'm sick and tired of Cavs fans, and I know if we had one in studio, they'd argue with me on this. I know it's not the same thing, but in theory it is. LeBron left for a super team. Kevin Durant left for a super team. Now, Kevin Durant's decision was worse because he lost to the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. LeBron didn't lose to the Heat. But I think that Kevin Durant would have not left the Thunder, but because I don't think he would have had the experience to see someone like him, like a superstar like him, leave for a super team. But I think that's an interesting one that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I think if LeBron would have left, I think the Spurs would have another championship. I think the Mavericks would have won easily again, but I don't think the Cavs would have gotten to a championship. Maybe they would have squeaked through, but I just don't think I think that going to Miami, as odd as it sounds, because he is LeBron, I think it gave LeBron a little bit of confidence to stand up to owners like Dan Gilbert and stuff like that, and demand that he needs star players to win. I think going to Miami kind of taught him how to build a team to win a championship. It's not going to be where you just add guys past their prime like Ben Wallace or role players like Wally Zerbiak and try to make a run like that. I think he knew that you need players like Chris Bosh, like Dwayne Wade, proven superstars to win, and that's why he went back to Cleveland, because he knew they had Andrew Wiggins, who they could trade to get Kevin Love, and they had Kyrie, who was a superstar. And we didn't do much research on it, but it would have been interesting to see, because where would have Kyrie ended up if LeBron didn't leave? He wouldn't have been in Cleveland. I don't know where he would end up. Maybe Minnesota.
They picked
Derek Williams.
at
number 2. So it's interesting. And obviously, I don't think they would have Tristan Thompson then either. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see. One thing happens, how it affects where we're at today, and that relationship between Dan Gilbert and LeBron wouldn't have been as torn up as it is now. Maybe LeBron stays in Cleveland, forever. You never know.
Maybe he leaves in a few years after 2010.
You never know. But it is interesting to look back at those. And we're going to keep doing those because those are kind of fun. We'll do another one in a little bit. But now we're going to get to question and answer. But before that, I wanted to remind you that our show is brought to you by A's Lawn Service. Since 2014, A's has been providing professional landscaping to many homes around Northeast Ohio. By using professional equipment, A's constantly strives to provide families with professional landscaping at a low and fair price. Are you tired of being dragged around by bigger landscaping companies? Hell yeah. Turn to A's and trust me, your lawn, your home will never look better. Trust A's for all your landscaping needs and you will not be disappointed. The phone number is 330-241-2392, 330-241-2392, and the email is lawnservice.a's@gmail.com. A's Lawn Service LLC, you grow it, we cut it. So we do got to go a little bit quicker than we wanted because of the interview. But one of the questions and answers we had was, what was our NBA award predictions? Obviously, that happened last night. So we'll just go through them, give our reaction to it. I think the most highly contested award last night was MVP. James Harden won. Everyone kind of predicted he was going to win. But I know Cavs fans especially are pissed. They think LeBron should have won. And I think LeBron should have won probably because you think, most valuable player, is LeBron. If the Cavs didn't have LeBron, they would not have went to the championship. I think one of the interesting questions was, what if Harden was on the Cavs instead of LeBron? Would the Cavs still went to the championship? I don't think so. But Harden had a good year. He's been kind of chasing that MVP for a while. And it's cool to see now, if you think about it, now the Thunder, a couple years ago, had 3 MVPs on their roster, and Harden, Westbrook, and Kevin Durant, and they still couldn't win. So that's interesting to see. I think LeBron should have won, but Harden, it's well-deserved.
Yeah, I liked Harden there, but, LeBron, I think we saw during the I know it's a regular season award, but we saw during the playoffs LeBron was definitely the most valuable player in the NBA.
Then we have Coach of the Year, Dwayne Casey. Again, another interesting choice because he was fired. And it was awkward watching the Raptors congratulate him on Twitter because, you fired him, but he was supposedly the best coach in the NBA.
Yeah, well-deserving, though. But you could have gone a lot of guys there. But I think it was very, very well-deserved.
I mean, that's another thing. You really break it down. I think Brad Stevens is the best coach in the NBA. But
yeah.
But and then most improved, Oladipo. That was deserved. He really upped his game this year. Defense, Rudy Gobert, again, really deserved. Rookie of the Year, Ben Simmons. Him and Donovan Mitchell were right there, but I think Ben Simmons is going to be one of the best players in the league in a couple years. And Donovan Mitchell, but I think Simmons is just a once-in-a-generational talent. And then sixth man, Lou Williams, not surprising. He's a guy, easily comes off the bench and scores you 30, and that was well-deserved. But that's it for question and answer. Now we're going to go to our interview with Tim Boyle. It was a good interview. We hope you listen and learn about his experiences in Green Bay and enjoy it.
Green Bay Packers quarterback, rookie Tim Boyle. How's it to be introduced as a Green Bay Packer?
Yeah. It's still a little surreal, you know what I mean? I was just actually at an elementary school talking about, being young, and my dream was to be an NFL quarterback, and now it's being fulfilled. So still surreal, but at the same time, I have to snap back into place and realize that I'm a professional now and I have to start acting like it. So definitely pinch myself every once in a while, but it's definitely a blessing, and I'm very honored.
After the draft, when you went undrafted, you get a lot of calls from a bunch of different teams?
Yeah, there were a couple teams that called me. I think the Browns, Browns, Raiders called. But when I think I had my position locked up at Green Bay, midway through the 7th, and I felt comfortable because I took the visit, felt comfortable with the staff and the people who surrounded me. So very comfortable fit. I'm glad I made the choice because I love the team. It's been a great fit.
Yeah, so what are your goals going into training camp preseason? You just got through OTAs. You had an impressive OTAs according to some sources around Green Bay. So what are your goals going into training camp and preseason?
Yeah, my goal is just to continue to understand the offense and progress mentally and physically within the offense. I think the big thing for me right now is just understanding conceptually what I have to do and making sure that I'm physically matching the two up. So it's gonna be a fight, getting into training camp and getting reps and trying to understand the offense as fast as I can. Just that's always a challenge, trying to learn a new system as fast as you can. But my goal is to do as best as I can. Just control the controllables and do the best I can and leave the rest up to the people who make the call.
So you were at Connecticut for 3 years?
I was, yep.
And you had 3 different coaches in 3 years?
Yes, sir.
And then you went to Eastern Kentucky. Is it kind of easier to learn the playbook because you've had to learn, so many different playbooks? And
100% it is. It's most concepts, wherever you go or whoever's your coach are the same. So you run the same plays for the most part. You have some adjustments here and there, but the biggest difference is just what they're called. So one year you call this play, Trojan, and the next year you call it Sitgo. You know what I mean? So it's just trying to change the words in your head, but the concepts you understand. I had 4 different offenses in college, which as much as that was not not a very good thing in the moment because you want to get in a rhythm, but also taught me a lot about football, a lot about scheme. So I think mentally I'm a pretty developed quarterback just so I can understand different offenses and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you said you went through few offenses. So what's the biggest difference, would you say, from a college playbook at Connecticut or Eastern Kentucky to a Green Bay Packer playbook in the NFL?
Just the fine details of making sure everything is perfect. You know, in college, if you run a 12-yard out, you know, sometimes you get a 12-yard out, sometimes you get a 14, sometimes you get a 10. But everything here is systematic and it's on point. You know, if you're running a 12-yard curl, your foot's hitting 12 yards and you're coming back to the ball. And I think the volume too, a little bigger of an offense. You know, a lot more on the quarterback from a checking, you know, plays standpoint. But you know, all things that I've done, it's just more volume at that point. So I'm comfortable doing it, but it's just trying to get comfortable as fast as I can doing it.
So what do you think your biggest strength is as a quarterback?
I think my biggest strength, I think I'm smart. I can process things as they come at me. I think I have a big, strong arm. I can stand in the pocket and deliver some balls. So I think those are my strengths right now.
So, you know, you got a couple calls from a couple teams, and you mentioned, you know, you felt right in the system in Green Bay, and that's why you chose here. But, you know, did you know, like, the tradition about Green Bay, and did that affect your decision here?
I always knew of Green Bay when I was a little kid, you know, high school, college, and how historic it was. But I truthfully had no clue how much tradition and history is there until I got to Green Bay and I got, you know, I got to see everything. And it truly is unreal. It's a first-class organization. The family atmosphere is amazing. But when it came down to making the choice, I mean, I wouldn't say it had a huge part. It's obviously cool being able to say, you know, you play for the Green Bay Packers, and the first thing people think about the Green Bay Packers is championships and history and tradition. So it's an honor to be able to wear the G, no doubt. But you know, when it comes down to making a choice as to where you want to play, you look at the quarterback situation. If you're comfortable with the location, the system, the people around you, which Green Bay was all a hit for me. So it went well.
So what was it like when you first walked into Lambeau Field?
It was pretty remarkable. I didn't really know what to expect, but I mean, just thinking about all the history and the wins and the championships that were won, it's unreal. And the fact that I get to play in it is such a blessing, and I can't wait to do it come preseason.
Yeah. So you're in a quarterback room now, where you obviously got the Aaron Rodgers, you got Brett Hundley, and you got the Deshaun Kaiser. Those are some guys who've started some football games in the NFL. Yep. How is it getting to know all of them and, you know, getting experience from guys who have field and played in a lot of football games?
It's been great. You know, Aaron's been good. You know, little tidbits here and there of things that I can do to improve my game on and off the field. So he's been great. Brett and Deshaun have been tremendous with me. You know, we're all pretty much the same age there, so you know, we're able to communicate and see what we're seeing, and that's been very smooth. And they've been very willing to help me. Deshaun's taken me under his wing a little bit, just from just seeing a defense and how to understand certain things. So they've been very helpful. It's a great room. We have a bunch of fun. Our quarterback coach has been great too. So it's been a great couple months for me so far.
Is it kind of, and like you said, you know, they've been great to you, but was it kind of intimidating at first to, you know, kind of ask questions to these guys? Because I mean,
yeah, I mean, at first, you know, your role as a rookie is kind of just be there, learn, you know, keep your mouth shut, you know, eyes and ears open. I didn't want to, you know, step out of my boundaries there. So as I progressed in the offense and we got a little bit more comfortable with each other, you know, that's when I started to open up and kind of show my personality and ask those questions. But, you know, at first it's, you know, you don't want to be in the way. You kind of just want to learn, you know, from a humble distance. And, you know, especially when you have a guy like Aaron in front of you who's been doing it for, you know, going on 14 years. It truly is unreal being able to learn and practice and be in meetings with him. But, yeah, they've been great. You know, at first it was a little intimidating, you know, because you don't really know guys. But as your relationship grows with them, you get a little more comfortable, and it's been smooth sailing since then.
So the Packers have, you know, a new offense coordinator, Joe Philbin, and then the new quarterback coach, Cignetti. Is it kind of hard for them to, you know, they're back in a new organization? Has it been kind of difficult for them to, you know, start the whole playbook, new offense, stuff like that?
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of carryover from previous offenses. You know, when most offensive coordinators come into a system, they don't try to change a whole lot. You know, a lot of the verbiage tries to stay the same, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a adjustment for them. But you know, those coaches have been doing it for a long time, so even if they were to go down that road, they do a great job of adjusting to it.
Yeah, so your familiarity, obviously you're in a new team with new players, the familiarity with the receivers and the tight ends, how does that come over? You know, you got a lot of rookies. You know, we drafted 3 I know of, and there's some undrafted guys there. How does your familiarity with those guys help, you know, in OTAs and training camp?
Yeah, I mean, since we all got picked up from the Packers, whether it be drafted or undrafted, you know, all the rookies have been together pretty much every day, you know, doing the same meetings, the same long grind every day. So we get to build those relationships especially well with the rookies. So I have good relationships with EQ, Keith, and then Jimon. So they've been great. They're really good, talented players. They've been definitely picking up their game in terms of mentally. When you come in as a receiver and you have all this playbook in front of you, it's hard to digest it. They've been doing a great job, and I think minicamp was huge for them. But the young tight ends too, Ryan and Kevin have been great. Those are probably one of my 2 closest friends right now. They've been outstanding, and just making sure you build that relationship off the field, because you know, when you trust someone off the field, it definitely plays a factor when you play on the field. So it's been smooth. Those guys are all talented, and I'm lucky to play with them.
So going back to the fans a little bit, how excited are you to, you know, participate in like the biking the training camp, stuff like that?
I can't wait for that. That's tradition rich that I can't wait to be a part of, and it's gonna be a blast, and it's gonna make me smile ear to ear.
Especially like family night, you know, it's, you know, practice and it's a sold out stadium. That's gotta be pretty crazy for you know, quarterback for you.
I can't wait for that. It's gonna be unreal, and just being able to be around family and friends and have a good night. Get to show off, you know, the facilities. It'll be a fun night. So it'll definitely be exciting.
So what was your kind of like, oh shit, I'm in the NFL moment?
That was probably when I took my visit to the Packers. It was probably like a month before the draft, and I was in the locker room changing, and I saw Aaron right after like a workout, and I was like, oh wow, that's Aaron Rodgers. And then I sat in my locker room and I was changing, and I was like, I'm putting on Green Bay Packers stuff right now. I mean, this is real stuff right now. But I mean, it is surreal, but then you have to kind of snap back into reality of, all right, well, now I have a responsibility to represent the organization well, and you can't most of the time you can't really take a step back and be like, oh wow, this is cool, because you're in it and you have to be involved in it 24/7. So it's, as much of a blessing as it is, you know, you kind of have to settle into the position that you're in and kind of, you know, be humble and take it and be good about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's like a, you know, this 2-month gap in between OTAs and training camp. What does a player like you do during these 2 months, getting ready for training camp and the real test for these? You know, are you in Green Bay right now? Will you stay in Green Bay? Or?
I'm at home right now in Connecticut. Just a lot of training, a lot of throwing, you know, working out, running. Going to be meeting with my quarterback coach a few times, who's up in Massachusetts. I'll probably get together with a couple receivers. I have a guy who I played high school against. His name's Irvin Phillips. He plays for the Bucks right now. So I'll probably meet up with him, a couple other tight ends that I know, and we'll get together and run some routes. But just staying sharp, being in my playbook, making sure I'm ready come late July. But it'll be nice to get some downtime as well, kind of clear my mind, you know, de-stress a little bit, so it'll be good.
All right, so we're just going to go ahead and wrap it up here. We ask everybody that comes on, who was your favorite athlete growing up?
Favorite athlete growing up was Tom Brady.
Really?
It was, yeah.
That
I mean, just
kind of
being a New England guy, you know, he was the guy around here. But yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, being around Aaron and just seeing how much of a professional he is, I mean, he's probably taken number one right now. It's truthfully an honor being around him and just being able to learn from him every day.
All right, so last question. What is your favorite sports memory all time? It can be personal or just, you know, something you watched. What is it?
Yeah, my junior year of college at UConn, we were playing Houston, and they were ranked 17th in the nation. They were undefeated, and they played at UConn, so it was at Rensselaer, and I played that game, and we won the the crowd was on the field after, stormed the field. It was awesome. It was probably one of the happiest moments of my life from a football standpoint. So that definitely sticks out in my mind when thinking about, memorable moments.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's all the questions I have. Do you have any more, Charlie?
No, I think that's it. It's an absolute honor to talk to you, Tim.
I appreciate you guys calling. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and reach out whenever you guys want to talk again, all right?
All right, yeah, cool. Thank you, Tim. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
Thanks.
See you guys.
All right, so we thank you guys for listening to our interview with Tim Boyle. Again, we thank him for spending some time with us, answering some of our questions. Like we said, it was an honor to be able to talk to a Packer, especially a quarterback. He's an interesting guy to talk to because that quarterback room is full of talent. Brett Hundley, Kaiser, Aaron Rodgers all have started, some games in the NFL. And he's kind of the odd man out, and it's interesting to see, his experiences like that. But he was a great guy. It was a really fun interview, and, we thank him a lot for spending some time with us.
Yeah, it was awesome. Definitely a dream come true to talk to a Green Bay Packer. We are absolutely rooting for Tim. We hope to get to talk to him here in the future even more. But definitely an amazing person. Great quarterback. You watch some of his highlights in college. And some of the
kind of
rumors coming out of Green Bay is he's playing very well. But we're definitely rooting for him. I can't wait to get up there in August and watch a spring training camp practice and see him. But great guy, awesome interview. Definitely was fun, and I hope to hear from him in the future.
Yeah, kind of interesting. He had pretty much 4 different coaches in college. It's going to be interesting to see, what happens when he does find some stability, and, we'll see what happens there. But we are rooting for him, and again, we thank him for coming out and giving us his time. So that's it for our show today. We want to thank our sponsors, D's Home Cuts and A's Lawn Service. We ask that you go on to iTunes, give us 5 stars, rate, review us, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at TNT Sports Talk 12. DM us for questions, anything, if you want to be a guest on the show. You can listen to us on 12 Ounce tomorrow from 12 to 1. Find us on YouTube now. Just search our name. That's a pretty easy way to listen to us if you don't have an iPhone. Again, big thanks to Tim Boyle. Tune in on Thursday. We have another guest. Check it out on Twitter. It's pretty big. Again, another big guest. This is a big week for guests, so look it up on Twitter. On Wednesday, we'll post it. But other than that, have a great day and tune in on Thursday.
Thank you. Go Packers.